Hey, so in today's video, I'll be walking you through the most common questions about starting a lead generation agency, signing your clients, and scaling to $10,000 per month. So over the last year, I put hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel and I have my Instagram, and I get a bunch of people asking me very similar questions and leaving very similar comments under all my YouTube channels. So I just decided that it might be a good idea just to take the most common questions and have all of them answered in one single video. So the first question that most people have is just wondering if this is a scam. Is this a new trendy business model? Is this something that will just go out and disappear in 6 months? And my answer to that is, at the core of this business model is lead generation, where you're essentially generating leads for yourself and for other businesses. And lead generation, it actually solves a core problem that literally every single business faces. And what that is how to get more customers and how to get more clients. And there's actually a thing, right? So all of these images, they're just screenshots that I pulled from Google, and you could go out and figure and find them yourself. But according to HubSpot, 61% of businesses, so over half of all businesses, face the biggest challenge of generating leads. Many businesses face the problem in terms of lead generation. And what this means is this is a massive problem for a huge group of people. And in fact, the concept of lead generation has actually existed for quite literally decades, right? Because when I was putting this video together, I actually went and I was actually curious myself, and I was just like, what's the history of lead generation? And I actually found that in terms of the history of lead generation, a little bit over a century ago, so I guess over 50 years ago, business owners will actually go door to door telling people about the history of their brand that they represent, or the history of the products that they go and sell, right? And that's technically considered lead generation, right? Going door to door and just knocking those doors and figuring out if people are interested or potentially interested in buying the products or services that they sell. That's lead generation. And the key is many industries, so for example, news, where they went from selling physical newspapers on the streets to selling and distributing their newspapers online in digital news and websites and social media news. Lead generation, like all of those industries, has actually evolved very differently throughout the years, because by doing the evolution, it has become very data driven, right? Lead generation has just become very data driven today. And before digital marketing took off, things such as cold calling, sending direct mails of flyers in the mail, and having in-person events were kind of like the main strategies that people would use in order to do lead generation and generate leads. But now, with the rise of the internet, digital marketing, with the rise of AI, all of these different things, a lot of the specific strategies to actually generate leads has actually kind of evolved and changed, making it way more efficient. So with AI and the internet, what this will do is it will allow literally anyone who knows how to leverage these tools correctly to successfully do lead generation online more efficiently than ever before. And there's actually a ton of different ways to do lead generation. So again, there's cold calling, there's running ads, there's flyers, there's SEO. But the way that we teach it is primarily through cold emails. And the reason why we choose cold emails over all of these other methods is because it can actually be completely automated, meaning it's not very manual. You don't have to do any of the tedious work. You don't have to pick up the phone and call people, right? So for example, if you do cold calling, you have to pick up the phone and call people. It's very simple to pick up and very easy to learn for beginners, because at the end of the day, if you do it the way that we teach it, it really just boils down to cold emails, right? And these cold emails, they're not like paragraphs. You're not writing an essay. You're not Shakespeare, right? You're writing these very short emails that are 3 to 4 lines long. And it's like 20 seconds to read. It's very simple and very easy to pick up for beginners. It's very low cost to run the cold email system. So there are costs that are involved, but you're not going to need thousands of dollars or 10 grand or something like that. You're not going to need to drop a bunch of money like you would if you need to run ads, for example. And it's just an extremely effective way for lead generation, because there's actually research that shows that cold emails, it generates a higher ROI, a higher return on investment than really any other lead generation method. And that's kind of a study that I found just from a quick Google search. So no, this business will not disappear in 6 months. This business is not a scam. It's not just a random trend that just popped up and will just kind of disappear and you never hear from it ever again. Especially since anyone who's able to generate leads for businesses, what you're doing is you're actually adding value to the world, because most businesses, as we saw from this study up atop, more than half of all businesses, they actually struggle with generating leads. And if you're able to do this, you're actually solving a problem for them, and you're actually delivering massive value into the world. So that's the first question, which is this a scam? Is this a trend? Now, the next question is, how's this different from other online businesses online? And because I see the same ads as you do, I see the same types of content as you do online, right? I go on my YouTube, I see a bunch of YouTube videos. I open my Instagram, I see a bunch of ads. But the very first thing to understand is there are primarily two types of different business models that anyone can start. The first is what's called a product-based business. So when you're thinking about drop shipping or Amazon FBA or starting a clothing brand or selling a water bottle, that's like a physical-based product, and that's what's called a product-based business. Now, the second type of business that you can start is called a service-based business. So you're selling a service as a service, essentially, right? You're selling a service and making money from that. So selling lead generation, you're a lawyer selling legal services, you're an accountant selling accounting services. This is what's called a service-based businesses. And service-based businesses are by far the easiest type of businesses to start, mainly for the fact that it really doesn't require a ton of startup capital and the risk is relatively low, especially compared to product-based businesses. Because with a product-based businesses, what you will need is you will need to spend money to buy inventory. If you're selling water bottles, you're gonna have to buy a bunch of water bottles up front. You need to figure out if people actually want to buy the product that you sell. So again, if you're selling water bottles, you have to figure out if people actually want to buy the water bottle that you're selling. And you really have to figure out all of the logistics in terms of how to ship to people, the logistics of delivery, all of that, all of those different things. So if things go wrong, the risk is very high, since in order to start, you actually need to invest money, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars into the different products that you're selling inside a product-based business. Now, with a service-based business, essentially what you're doing is all you're doing is just learning a skill and then turning around and selling that for money. So if you think about lawyers, right? Most people don't even realize, but lawyers are actually service-based businesses, because if you think of a lawyer, what that did is they went to school, they went to law school, they studied and learned how the legal system works. And now what they're doing is they're selling their knowledge of the legal system, of legal matters, and they're trading it for money, right? And the reason why they do that is because it's way easier to get into, because all they really need to do is learn a valuable skill. And as a result, because all they're doing is just learning a skill, it's very low risk, since you're not risking money upfront, and it really doesn't require much upfront capital. There are costs, for example, if you're trying to learn how the legal system works, obviously to go to law school, right? If you're learning how to do lead generation, you might have to pay someone to teach you how to do lead generation. But aside from that, there's really not that much upfront cost, especially compared to product-based businesses. And there's only two risks associated with a service-based business, right? There's really only two risks. And those two risks is, number one, learning a skill that just isn't truly valuable. So if you go out and learn some random thing where people just won't pay money for that, that's a risk, because if you're spending a bunch of time learning something that's just not really that valuable, no one's going to pay money for that. And the second risk is just selling a service that requires you to learn a bunch of complex stuff. So back to the example of lawyers, it's very complex to learn about the legal system. It's no walk in the park, right? There's a reason that law school is a few years long, because there's just a bunch of stuff that people have to learn. So in that specific case on lawyers, it's actually very complex, because there's just a bunch of things, a bunch of moving parts that people will actually have to learn before they can actually go out and sell that as a service, right? And that's also why it takes multiple years to become a lawyer. However, if you're selling lead generation, it's actually extremely valuable. So that removes the first risk, which is just learning a skill that just isn't valuable. So lead generation is insanely valuable. We just went over it in the last slide. And on top of that, it's actually very easy to get into, because the only thing you're learning is the skill of cold email. So again, you're not going out and learning a bunch of complex stuff. All you're learning is how to do cold email. So you're first learning and using cold emails to get a client for yourself, right? For your own business. And once you have a paying client, you're also using cold emails to help them generate leads. So with this business, it is very easy to learn. It's very easy to get into, and it's very simple, since you don't need to learn a bunch of skills, a bunch of complex things. Again, right? All you're learning is cold emails. And again, it's extremely valuable to the marketplace. So that's how this business is different from other online businesses. Now, the next question is someone who says, well, I don't have a bunch of experience. I don't have a bunch of skills in sales or marketing. And what I will say to that is most people just really get held back by that belief, since they believe that because they never sold anything before, they just won't be able to sell anything in the future. And remember, how I like to think about it is everyone is kind of just a natural salesperson. If you think about yourself as a kid, so no matter how old you are right now, think of when you were like 10 years old or 12 years old or 8 years old, where you were just trying to get an adult. So that could be your parent, it could be your uncle, it could be your aunt, it could be someone like that, right? So as a kid, you're just trying to get an adult to do something for you. Maybe go somewhere, or maybe go buy you a toy or something like that. What you were doing in that scenario is you were selling them on the idea of doing something. Or more ironically, if you're telling yourself right now that because you suck at sales, because you've never done sales before, you simply can't do sales, Ironically, you're actually selling yourself on the idea that you're a bad salesperson, right? Think about it for a second, right? You're literally selling yourself on that idea that you can't do sales because you just never done it before. And it's pretty crazy to think about. But the truth is sales is a skill and it can be learned with practice. And if you pair it up with selling a good service that people actually want, you don't actually need to be even that good at selling, right? Because for example, the best way to think about it is if someone is selling a Ferrari for $10,000, they don't even need to be good at selling, right? That Ferrari is literally worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and someone's selling it for 10 grand. You could be struggling to speak English and you will still have a line full of buyers ready to throw 10 grand at you to buy that Ferrari. So the same thing applies for any type of service or any type of business that you try to start. If you're selling a service that businesses naturally want, so in this case, it is lead generation, you really don't even have to be good at sales. So for example, here's Tom's, someone that I'm working with inside of Inbox Lab, and he literally said, guys, I just closed my first ever deal, 1,500 fees split into 3 payments plus $250 a call. By the way, this was the first sales call I ever took in my life, and English is not even my first language, right? And that's the power of selling lead generation as a service, right? Because so many people want it. It's such a high demand skill set. And you're solving such a large problem, you don't even have to be that good at sales in order to successfully do this. Another example is a guy called Jordan that I'm working with. His username is like sideways, but it's Jordan. And he literally said, a nice case of beginner luck over here. I started my campaign on May 1st, so it's cold email campaign on May 1st. I had my first call booked today, his first sales call, and he closed them for $2,000 setup plus $200 per call, right? And it's the second call, right? And feeling extremely grateful and appreciative. And now the real work begins, right? Because this is the power of selling something that people actually want. That's the main thing, right? If someone is really struggling at sales, it's not necessarily because they suck at sales. It could also be because they're just selling something that people just don't really want. And as a result, they really need to hard sell people or really aggressively persuade people to buy something that people just don't really want, right? And you don't really need to do that if you're selling this as a service. Now, the next concern that most people have is they just feel like they just don't have a lot of time. And it's completely understandable that life is just busy, right? If you're working a job, if you have a family, if you have kids, if anything else, right? It could feel like that there's just no time to take on something new. But that's exactly why that this opportunity is designed the way it is. Because it's not about adding more stress or adding endless hours of work to your day. What it is about building a business that ends up working for you. Because most people who start this online business, they actually end up spending 1 to 2 hours a day. And the main reason why is because if you're using AI, if you're doing it the way that we teach it, if you're using all of the different automation tools, most of the work is actually done for you automatically. So writing the cold emails, sending the emails, all of that is work that like 5 years ago, before all of these tools existed, would have taken you like 10 hours a day. But because these tools exist now, there's a window of opportunity where people are able to take advantage of this, work 1 to 2 hours a day and start and make a few $1,000s online, right? Because it's about working smarter, not necessarily about working harder. So here's an example of a student that I'm working with inside Inbox Lab, or a client. His name's called Simon. And I actually asked him, I was like, hey bro, congrats on a new client. How much would you say your business makes a month right now? And he literally said, thanks, Jimmy, not including my 9 to 5, I make $4,000 a month inside of my business, right? And that's a pretty crazy thing to be saying, right? Because Simon works a 9 to 5, he's an engineer, so it's a pretty intensive job, it's a pretty demanding job, and he spends 1 to 2 hours a day, and he makes $4,000 a month on the side on top of his 9 to 5, right? And he's actually on track to match his full-time income, and he still spends less time on his business than what most people spend scrolling on social media or just watching Netflix or watching TV, right? Because this isn't about finding more time today, it's about creating more time for the future. So just imagine a few months from now, you got this going, right? You're making anywhere between $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, and you're literally just working 1 to 2 hours a day. How much more time would you have for the things that really matter, right? You just need to commit to finding 1 to 2 hours a day and just decide that you want to start this, right? That's literally what it comes down to. And most people actually start this as an income on the side type of thing, kind of like a side hustle or part-time income. And once they get this going, they sign some clients and they see that this actually works. They then are able to decide if this is something that they want to focus on full time. And in terms of hour commitments, you can actually expect to work 1 to 2 hours a day just throughout your day with relative flexibility, because most of the hours up front will be spent on just starting the business, learning how everything works, and just kind of just getting it off the ground. And once it's off the ground and moving, you get some clients, the majority of your focus will just be working with your clients and delivering the actual service that you sold them. Now, what I will say, kind of as a caveat, is this is a business, and someone who's able to invest more time into this will obviously get better results and get them quicker. But starting with 1 to 2 hours a day is really, honestly, just a really good place to start. And this business model is specifically designed to be simple and very low maintenance, because once you set up the core system, so your cold email outreach system and kind of just the overall client acquisition process, most of the work just runs on autopilot for you, right? You're not manually sending these cold emails every single day. And the focus of this business is really its efficiency. You're focusing on the few activities that actually generate you results rather than wasting time on unnecessary busy work, right? You're not working for the sake of working, right? You're not working just for the sake of being busy. You're working on the things that actually matter. And many people are actually surprised at how quickly they can start seeing results with such a minimal time investment, right? Because if you're willing to put in a bit of upfront effort upfront just to set things up, then you find that the ongoing work is actually quite manageable and just fits very easily into a busy schedule, right? So that's what I'll say with that. Now, the next question, and this is a very important question, and it is, how much does this cost, and what if I can't afford it? So like every other business, there are costs that are associated with starting this business. However, you just won't need thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars like you would if you're starting businesses like dropshipping or Amazon FBA, or again, starting a brand like a clothing brand, or like selling water bottles or something like that. But to be completely direct, if you were looking to start this business, you would need, I would say, anywhere between $200 and $500 ready to invest into starting this business. And most of this cost will actually go towards the cost of different softwares that are involved in starting this business. So like, kind of like, for example, domains or email accounts or calendar software, or even paying for things like Zoom, because you're taking these sales costs, right? And beyond that, there really aren't any costs here that you just would face if you are starting any other business, right? It's kind of like the cost of owning a car. If you wanted to own a car, you would need to pay for car insurance, pay for gas, no matter the type of car you have. And that's the exact same thing as it is here. And it is definitely a way more cost efficient business than most, just purely from the fact that you're selling a service. Now, I know some of you guys who are watching this video right now, you might not be able to logistically afford like this cost of $200 to $500. And I totally get it. And I'm not going to sit here and just tell you to like put it on a credit card or take out a loan or take on some debt or something like that just to start a business, because that's just a very not smart way to actually do it. And the reason why is because starting a business is tough, and like anything else, the last thing you need is to have additional pressure or additional financial pressure at the back of your mind that you need to make money tomorrow. Otherwise, like, you miss your rent payment and you get evicted from your house or something like that, right? And unlike everyone else online, my honest suggestion is, if this is you and you're just unable to logistically afford $200 to $500 for this business, my honest suggestion is just to go out, work a job, save a couple $1,000s that you can just invest and put aside into starting a business. Make sure all your basic needs are actually met. And once you have all of those basic needs taken care of, then start a business. Because it's always easier to start a business from a place of abundance rather than a place of scarcity, right? That's one of the biggest lessons that I personally learned. Now, the next question is, does this actually work? Can you actually make money doing this? And obviously the answer is yes. And on this specific slide, I'm going to be walking you through some of the most successful people that I have personally worked with inside of Inbox Live who have started their own business and are now making money, right? So just to start, we have Kevin over here, and these are all YouTube videos that you can find on my own YouTube channel. They're like interviews with these people. But just to start, we have Kevin, who's a software engineer who went from working his 9 to 5 in software engineering to starting this business, and he now makes $9,500 a month, letting him quit his job and doing this full time. Right? With Daniel, who went from a door-to-door sales rep to making $13,000 a month online, doing this full time again, right? Daniel started this on the side. He signed his first client for, I think, like $4,000, and he saw the potential of this, and he kind of just dived in and went all in And now he makes $13,000 a month, which is just way more than what he'd be making as a door-to-door sales rep. And he also gets that flexibility and the ability to just work on his own time schedule. We have Tyler, who went from being a corporate SDR, so a corporate sales development rep, to making $6,000 a month on the side that actually matches his full-time income. So now Tyler has two sources of income: a job that pays him consistent income every single Friday, and he has this on the side that matches as much as he makes from his full-time job, except now he's able to do this from the comfort of his own home, wherever he wants, on his own time schedule. With Spencer, who was previously self-employed, he was working at an investment industry, in the investment industry, and he was able to start this on the side, and he got it to $11,000 per month in his first 90 days, and now he actually got it to $20,000 per month full-time with no employees. And here's actually a screenshot of this, because when I made the YouTube video over here, he just hit his first $11,000 a month, and inside of this screenshot, he was actually able to hit $20,000 per month. So he literally said, sharing a more macro win, been in the group since April, so inside of Inbox Lab since April, and Jimmy has helped add so much clarity to how to continue scaling this business. So massive shout out to him. After invoicing my clients for demos this month, I should be over my first $20,000 a month still without hiring a single person. And that's the craziest part about this business model, is you don't have to go out and hire a bunch of people. You can literally get started with this by yourself and start making money while doing this. With Chino, who's from the Philippines, and he was able to sign his first client for $2,000 USD, right? And the reason I highlight that is because if Chino, who's from the Philippines, was able to do this, if you're watching this video and you're from like Canada, you're from the US, you're from the UK, there's absolutely no reason why that you can't do the same. And here's a screenshot of Chino a few months later saying, just signed my sixth client for $3,000, right? So this video was taken when he signed his very first client for $2,000. And by here, this screenshot, he was at his client number 6. And that just shows the power and efficiency of the system, right? But how about more realistic success stories? Because I get it, from the previous slide, it's all people who are making a bunch of money, right? 10 grand, 20 grand, 5 grand, 6 grand a month. But how about people who are just doing this on the side, making a few $1,000s a month, right? We have Sydney, who signed her first client for $3,000 a month. $3,000, right? She got started with this, and now she makes $3,000 a month on the side, working 1 to 2 hours a day. We have Nelson, who signed his first client for $1,500, right? We have Brian Tsai, who got off, just hopped off of I think a sales call when he sent the screenshot, and he closed back-to-back sales calls, and he made 7 grand in a single day. Now, obviously, this is a sales business, so he made 7 grand in a day, but what that translates to is 7 grand in a month, right? We have Christian, who landed his first client for $1,500 plus $2,000 a month, right? That just shows, again, right, the power of the system, where if your goal is just to start this on the side, make a few $1,000s, not necessarily just quit your 9 to 5, not necessarily just go all in into this, you're able to do that and make a few $1,000s on the side. And once you see the results, you're then able to actually decide for yourself if it makes sense to go into this further and scale it up, make more money, and kind of just do this full time, right? So that's what you're able to do with this process. Now, the next question is, how long will it actually take to start making money with this business? And there are kind of 2 answers that I could give in terms of rough timelines for someone who wants to start this and start making money. So this business is very simple to pick up, but it's not necessarily easy, right? Making money isn't easy. It's simple, but not necessarily easy. And by the way, this isn't some kind of get rich quick or some kind of make money hack. You have to learn real skills, and you won't just end up making money, magically making money, while doing absolutely nothing. And the truth is, anyone can start this business by just researching online, watching some YouTube videos, maybe even my own YouTube videos, and they will see results if they actually execute on that and actually take action. And while this business is simple, there's actually a lot of ins and outs that will take a lot to actually pick up and do it correctly. Because someone who just never sent a single cold email before, they really can't expect results right away, or expect results the very first time they try it, like anything else in life. So someone who's starting this for the first time will literally need to go out and learn how to pick a good niche to sell to, how to write effective cold emails, how to conduct the sales conversations the right way, so sales calls, and how to deliver results, deliver service for clients. And all of these things can be learned, again, right, from YouTube and from Google, but someone who will do that and try to learn it themselves will honestly just waste a ton of time just sifting through a bunch of bad information to find the rare gems of what truly works today. And someone who's trying to pick this up on their own just simply won't realize that they just don't know what they don't know, right? That's a really real thing. That's what I struggled with for the longest time. I just simply didn't know what I didn't know. And this could lead to just taking months or sometimes even years just to see results with any business or even this business specifically. Because this is what your mind probably looks like right now, right? Just a ton of confusion, a bunch of unclarity, just a bunch of different things, right? That's what your brain looks like. It's just you don't really see a direct and clear path. But the goal is to have a clear path, kind of like this, kind of just like a straight line where you have a clear path and you have complete confidence on what your next steps are. And that's exactly what we aim to do, right? So someone who learns how this business works and more importantly, executes on the right actions correctly should see results in a relatively quick timeline. Because most people can actually get started with this and sign the first client that pays them anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000 a month within the first 30 to 45 days of starting. So for example, we have someone called Nelson who's working with us inside of Inbox Lab who is working as an emergency nurse. So again, a very time consuming and a very demanding job. And he's never sold a single thing in his life before. And he got started with this business and actually signed his first client within his first month of starting. So he literally said, I officially scheduled my first onboarding call for Monday and we both agreed to invoice her at the beginning of the call for $1,500, right? I never thought I would close this soon. I joined this program on February 1st, launched my campaign on March 3rd. And as you can see from this date, he signed his first client on March 15th. So he literally got results within his first 30 days or first 45 days, I'd say, of joining the Inbox Lab program. And that's what happens if you execute on the keyword on the right things. It's not necessarily about executing, even though that's important. It's about executing on the right things and executing the correct way of it, right? That's the most important part. And that's where most people kind of get wrong. So which leads us to the final point, which is how can I help you with starting this business? So every single screenshot and every single story that you have seen from this video are clients, they're students of Inbox Lab who I work with inside of Inbox Lab, right? And by the way, Inbox Lab is a one-to-one consulting program. It's not a course. And starting a lead generation business can feel very overwhelming, especially if you're just trying to figure everything out on your own. And that's exactly where the Inbox Lab program comes in, because I provide a clear step-by-step roadmap that will literally take you from zero to building a profitable business in literally record time, right? No exaggeration. And here's exactly what you'll get. You get 6 things. The first is you'll get clarity on the right path, because I'll be helping you identify the best niche to sell your lead generation services to, and you're just not going to be wasting time on trial and error. And what are your concrete steps to starting this business? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, leading to signing your very first clients and building a business that makes a few $1,000s a month for you. The second thing you get is proven systems and strategies, because you'll be gaining the access to the exact strategies that I've used to build my own business, right? I still run my own business to today, and I'm giving you the exact strategies that I use to build up this business. So you can actually follow a proven blueprint that's actually been tested and refined, right? This eliminates all of the guesswork and dramatically increases your chance of success. Now, the next thing you get is hands-on guidance, because I'll be with you every step of the way, helping you craft an irresistible offer, writing effective cold emails, landing your first client, giving you access to the AI tools, and you get personalized support to overcome all of the challenges that just keeps you moving, right? Because that's where most people really get caught up, right? They have a question or they get stuck somewhere and they're not able to get help and support to just figure out whatever it is that they're struggling with. The fourth thing that you get is accountability and momentum, right? Because one of the biggest reasons that people fail is just losing momentum. And for me, I provide tools like progress trackers, regular check-ins, and feedback just to ensure that you stay on track and just hit all of the goals that you set out to achieve. The next thing that you get is support from day one. So whether it's setting up your systems, finding clients, or just scaling your own personal income goals, what we're doing here at Inbox Lab, our goal, our mission is to help you fast track your results while avoiding all of the common pitfalls that most people just get stuck on. And finally, you will also get a guarantee for your success, because we're so confident with this process, with the Inbox Lab system, that we can guarantee that you make back at least what you invested or you receive a full refund, right? That's a guarantee, right? If you join Inbox Lab and within 6 months, if you're taking action, you're doing all of the work and you don't see results, then we'll give you a complete refund, right? Because it's just a risk-free way to just start your business, and almost no one online will be able to do that for you, right? Guarantee you results. Now, obviously, you're actually gonna have to take action, right? You're the one building the business, but if you do follow through everything that we teach you inside of Inbox Lab and you don't make back what you invested to join Inbox Lab, then we'll give you a complete refund, and it's as simple as that. No questions asked, right? So what happens if you join Inbox Lab and it doesn't work? Now, again, if you join Inbox Lab and follow the steps that we outline and don't see any results, we got your back. Because this program is designed with proven strategies that have worked for countless others. You just literally saw screenshots of a bunch of people making money with their own businesses. And we're so confident in its effectiveness that we offer a full money back guarantee, right? Again, if you do the work and you don't make back at least what you invested within 6 months, then we'll refund you in full. Because you're not just investing in a program. You're investing in a proven process with built-in support to just help you succeed and to help you build a successful business. Plus, we're with you every step of the way to just help you troubleshoot all the challenges and just ensure that you stay on track. And the only way that this doesn't work is if you just join and you just don't take any action, right? That's the only way this doesn't work. But if you're committed, then we're committed to your success as well. But that's basically it for today's video. Hope this was valuable for you, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.